Welcome to Ethos Effect.
Welcome to the Ethos Effect podcast.
Podcast.
After building and learning from failures,
We discovered our ethos and leveraged it
to scale, sell, and build again our seven-figure businesses.
whether you're starting out or leveling up.
This podcast is your source for innovation and lasting impact. Thanks for tuning in to the Ethos Effect podcast. Today is an interesting day. We're chatting about ourselves, which is weird because I'm really excited to get everybody else in the studio hear their stories. But I do think it's important that we share who we are, how we met, how we built our business, all that fun stuff.
Fair enough.
Why don't you start us off?
Well, I'm Donovan Ryckis. I think probably the first thing to know is that we are married.
What?
And yeah, that's a thing.
Since when? So
Yeah.
funny, how long did we date for before we got married? 7 years?
Seems like it wasn't
6
that
years.
long, was it? Yeah.
I don't know how old we are. I never know how old we are. 6 years we were together, and then we got married, and we built and
Yes.
sold a business before we even got married.
Yep. Did quite a few things before we got married, which was nice. I think one of the interesting things is that we did it a little bit differently. Like you and I actually started working together first.
Mm-hmm.
We each had our own respective business. We ended up partnering together in those businesses, just kind of like on a trial client by client thing. And eventually just partnered for real and started our own venture and did something new. So
Yeah,
that's a little unusual.
it is. And I think, well, why don't you share like your financial advisor to benefits advisor story? I really like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've been through a couple different journeys, a couple different paths. I guess it started when I accidentally became an insurance agent because nobody in their right mind purposefully becomes an insurance agent, right? Like
So true.
it's a pretty boring thing, not very exciting. So yeah, I accidentally became an insurance agent, and I realized like financial services as a whole is an amazing business, and financial services could be anything from health insurance to life insurance to being a financial advisor to working with companies, any type of financial product that you could sell, really. So I liked the industry and I saw the potential, mainly in that I could choose whatever client I wanted to work with, right? There was no cap on the size, how big I could go, the complexity, but it takes a while to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So I started out at like 24, 25 years old selling Medicare to people turning 65. So I'm a young 20
Who's
year
this dude?
Yeah, I'm a young 20-year-old telling people that are retiring what to do.
Yeah.
And it wasn't my clientele. The way you would go to prospect and find those clients, like it just didn't speak with me, so made good money, kind of realized like it wasn't maybe my client base that would bring me energy, moved on to start selling life insurance, and then ultimately became a financial advisor. Financial advising is great. I was working with strictly business owners,
Yeah.
mainly because I got into more complicated, more complex tax planning cases. We were doing defined benefit, defined contribution plans, so basically pensions and 401ks.
Mm-hmm.
Very lucrative, very complicated type of clients I wanted to work with. But the downside of it is if you are a financial advisor for a wealthy business owner, they call you when they're done with their job.
Yeah, which is never, or well,
Always.
on the weekends.
Yeah, it's always. So, I mean, we would be out. I can remember times we were out. It's Saturday night. It's 9:30. We just got somewhere to have some drinks and I'm getting phone calls and I have to go take it.
Yeah.
So that was the downside of that. So it was like right client, right complexity and kind of skills I can bring to it, but just the wrong kind of market.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, by accident, I got into employee benefits. Just one of those clients said, hey, my health insurance premium for my company is going up 35%, 36%, I think it was. And my broker said, that's it. Like, this is what I have to do. I have to take it. There's nothing else. Can you help me? I said, sure.
Yes, man.
Yeah. No freaking idea. No idea what to do.
New challenge.
Yeah, new challenge. I spent the next 2 weeks learning, talking to everybody I possibly could. Did it. Not only did we mitigate that 36% renewal increase, we actually came a little bit under where he was before that renewal. Didn't eliminate benefits for the employees. Didn't put them in a smaller network. didn't make things harder or more complicated. And I realized like there's a business there,
Yeah.
right? Also a lot more rewarding. You're not making a wealthy person more wealthy. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's much more personally rewarding if I can basically save every employee even $20 per week on their health insurance deductions.
Yeah.
Everybody got an extra $20 because of, just the planning I was able to do. That was a lot more personally rewarding. So we started to kind of go down that path.
We dove down that path. Well, what I find interesting about that story specifically is that the other competitor in the situation was a large publicly traded institute.
Yeah. A couple other things were happening at the same time. In being a financial advisor at that time, they were passing something called the fiduciary rule. And this was basically, they were just doing this in like 2017. The idea that a financial advisor had to legally work in the best interest of their client. Like you would just think that's already what they have to do, right?
Assumed.
Yeah, it's not. So there was that going on in the industry at that time, and that wasn't a problem for me. I'd actually signed on already to be a fiduciary advisor. I was already doing those kinds of things. But what I realized in doing that first benefits case is how much worse benefits were. The lack of transparency, like misaligned incentives, how a broker would get paid to set something up. That kind of just sets the motivation. It sets the temperature for how these things are going to get done. So there's just less transparency, less consultation, and more kind of special interests and misaligned incentives driving how it got done.
Yeah.
So big opportunity. That case, like you said, it was the broker we ended up replacing, national broker, publicly traded, one of the biggest names, probably be one of the first 5 brokers somebody would mention if they had to,
I love that from the very beginning, we've intentionally been the opposite of everyone else, right? Like structured the agency in a way that those incentives, those misaligned incentives, they don't drive us. We don't have to rely on those to be successful. I'll share a little bit about my story, and then maybe we could pick back up right here because the story you just shared is literally where we kind of intercepted and joined forces. So I'm Canadian, grew up in Calgary, Alberta, got a twin brother, younger sister. My family owns a roofing business up there. So I've always been around entrepreneurs, love that, my parents were there for everything and saw the highs and lows and knew from day one that I wanted to own my own business. And what I really wanted to do, what inspires me more than anything, is employing people, like giving other people the ability to provide for their families and making them feel worthy. That's a big one for me. In college, I came to the States with softball, as you know, but played D1, was the team captain for Stetson University, was heading to med school. At the time, was leading in RBIs, home runs, having the best season of my life. And then like that, it was over. Got hit in the head with a softball. Couple unfortunate events happened quickly after that just led to me barely graduating. I had a 4.0 before that. Was on track to be considered for valedictorian. Was going to med school, and again, barely graduated. Went home to Canada, did a brain injury rehab program, and had to learn a lot of things again. Quick math was hard. Decision making, holding conversations, music, reading. It was basically like living in a quiet, depressed hell for a few months, actually for a couple years. When I moved back to the States, I got into nonprofit, and an insurance company actually sponsored my event. I raised quite a bit of money for a local nonprofit here, and some situations happened. I won't share that story just yet. We'll save that one for another day. But ended up jumping into insurance, and that's how I met Donovan, because in my little insurance world, when I opened my first agency, my goal was to partner with health insurance brokers. And you happen to be a health insurance broker that I knocked on that door. We met in a hopeless place.
Yep. No, I think too, the interesting thing about how we met, I remember the meeting where you're like, this is what I'll do. I'll do your enrollments, and so excited, so full of energy. And
So naive.
well, typical like new salesperson mistake. She didn't realize she had the sale. Like it was done. I agreed. I was like, yeah, okay. And she just kept going. I'm like,
And I'll give
yeah,
you this, and I'll do
we'll
this.
do it. We'll do it. Right. So, and you know, it's all about like the right motivations that really kind of spur growth. So like same thing when we did that, like I wasn't motivated in like getting a commission split or anything like that. I met you and I was like, she cares, she's energetic, she's presentable, she's trustworthy. Like, yeah, absolutely. I'd put this person in front of my clients.
Yeah. I think why it was so easy for us to partner when we did was, and it was, I mean, obviously it was a conversation. Hey, we each have our own respective agencies and businesses. Do we want to merge and become partners? And what does that look like? And contracts and all of that. So there was a conversation, but there wasn't really a conversation. Like it was so natural, so easy because the stuff that I hate, that I'm not very good at, you're naturally brilliant at. And I feel like I fill a lot of gaps with you, or with the client, I guess. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's just, it wasn't even a question.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess we continued down that path. We kind of built our employee benefits agency for quite a few years. Recently had a exit where we kind of realized we wanted to serve more employees, make a bigger impact. In order to do that, we had to make a decision to scale up
Yeah.
intentionally and say, our market is no longer going to be kind of the under 500 employee companies. We're going to focus exclusively above that, mainly so we can just have a bigger impact, right?
Yeah.
Like do the same things we're doing, bring it to more people on a bigger level, right? So we kind of made that decision, exited a large portion of our business. Very scary thing to do, right?
Yeah. And the only reason that we had the know and the courage and yeah, the knowledge to do it was, I feel like in the last couple of years we've just gotten like deadly consistent and hyper focused with our ethos. So our guiding principle, our guiding force, and how we make decisions in our relationship, in and out of business, like, and all of it. And our actual ethos is, if something can be done better, it should be. So just that idea of constantly getting better, evolving, improving, challenging the status quo, revolutionizing industries, ideas, growing. Can't remember the quote that you love, but it's something about like, if you're not growing, you're essentially dying. Like there's only two things that are happening. Not coming to you, is it?
No, it's
Sorry,
not.
put you on the spot there. But I really do think it's our ethos that, allowed us to accomplish what we did in such a short amount of time. And that's kind of the whole point of this podcast, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that whole thing, you tell people you exit a part of your business and you just had this sale and everybody's like excited for you. They're like, that's awesome. Like, what are you going to do with the money? Like they're kind of acting like they see it as like almost like the end or something that you have achieved. And in reality, like doing it, we're kind of like scared shitless. It's like, all right, now we got to go prove our point that we're going to go make this impact and we're going to continue to do it on a larger level.
Yeah, it's
Right?
go time.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we could ever truly like sell a business and be done. I mean, I think we're a lot of years away from that just because we have so much passion and drive to get shit done, make an impact, change, revolutionize, transform. Like I can't, I could throw out those words all day long, but it's truly so inspiring. And that's what I'm excited about, is interviewing people that have done what we done. Let me try that again. People who have done what we have done, but in different industries. I think that'll be really, really, really cool.
Yeah, working with employers, we've seen a little bit of everything. Working with all these different companies, their internal culture, their strategies, their management. And this podcast selfishly is like our way to highlight some of these people, but also get their time to sit them down and ask them, their ethos, how they made things happen, what surprised them, what was difficult, failures, moving on from that, all that kind of stuff. Just bringing all those people in and getting that dedicated time to figure out what happened.
Mm-hmm. I remember when I first started in this industry, there were a lot of people that were, you're really young. You've never done this before. You've never ran an agency. You've never owned an agency, a business. You're 24 years old. What the hell are you doing? Why don't you go work for someone else? Figure it out first, get your feet wet. And I think about, I know that wouldn't have lasted long, just too strong-spirited to work for anybody else, that. But I really think finding those people that took a chance on themselves, believed in themselves, understood their ethos, and just went for it no matter what someone else said. That's exciting.
Yeah. Excited to see what comes with these guests and bring everybody the Ethos Effect podcast.
Thank you guys so much for watching today's episode. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the episode, and we'll see you next time.